The three protagonists are currently drinking their coffees and eating their bagels on a corner-side diner in the city. It overlooks the docks, the murky harbour of the city, and yet it is far enough away from the Whippet Inn and some of the other nastiness that has recently afflicted the city that you can get a breath of somewhat fresh air, the smell of brewing, of fish, of fuel rolling in from the sea, only helping to enhance the flavour of the coffee. As the server passes each of you a cup and leaves the pot on the table, just call if you want any more sugar, and if you want any more coffee. And off she goes.
Jeez, this is good coffee. Gives me a real pep. Woo. Feel ready to take anything on. Just let them watch. I can't fail all the time. It's a little quip for me, just in case.
Yeah, remember those extra dice you're gaining.
So, Miss Knight, how's this going? You've done this before. You've done a lot of cases. Do you think we've got enough evidence to get Leo off yet?
Oh, Benny, I wish it was this simple, but no. All we know is that the Italian mob doesn't know what's going on. Hoop seemed to know something, and Chief Donahue is in on this as well, and he works for Cyril Ball, so, you know, I'm predispositioned to think that Mr. Ball is in on this, especially if he's trying to shake down Miss Charity here to muscle in.
As much as I don't like my brother, I would like to present one more possibility. Perhaps the Italian mob just wanted to know what my dear girl told the police. Maybe she would have been floating in a harbor if she'd said the wrong thing, if she knew too much. Either way, maybe we should talk to the Italians, although I don't know if they'll... Well, maybe they'll like seeing me coming, but not because of who I am, if you see what I mean.
They'll appreciate watching you going just as much, but...
I do speak a little Italian, if that helps.
Maybe we can get you cleaned up and it'll be an extra bit on our side.
Anything for my brother. Let's make licks and we've got to stick together.
So who do we talk to first, the police or the Italians?
I think the Italians would be the better option.
You can always split up. Kill off a few birds simultaneously, as the old saying goes.
My concern is if I go to the Italians, they're going to shut down on me. But maybe if Benny and Charity speak to the Italians, maybe Benny would help out, confuse them a bit.
We could see. Like I say, they might be a little bit dubious about what my business is there, but I could convince them I'm there for pleasure. And I think they'll be open to that. I do let them into my establishment. Maybe that buys me a little leeway.
I'm sure they'd like into the brothel too.
They always do.
Very well then. Unless there are any objections, that is the way our party of protagonists will be splitting up, just as it starts getting dark today. The clouds are finally set in, the sun will no longer be seen over the city, and although it is not nightfall yet, it certainly feels like it, as the darkness becomes oppressive and the city streets somehow seem narrower. Nobody wants to make eye contact at times like this, they just want to hurry home, because on a dark afternoon like this, turning into an even darker evening, that's when violence becomes a certainty on the streets of this city. We will deal with Stormy Night first and foremost, who it sounds like is going to interview some of her former colleagues at the cop shop. Is that right?
Correct. Hoop dropped her, suggested that she make an appearance to talk to the old boys and see what things they don't like it when you stop being on the take. They don't like it when you talk to people about the shitty things that they do.
Are you heading to the precinct or to the tap shop? Which place is safer?
I think I'm going to have a harder time at the precinct than I am at the tap shop, so I'm going to go to the tap shop.
As it's afternoon getting on to evening, the tap shop is quickly filling up with cops who have finished their afternoon shifts. You recognize many faces here, and they recognize you in turn. A few raise their glasses, they haven't seen you in months. Others pointedly turn away from you. You can hear their muttered criticisms, their barely veiled hatred for you, for the way you betrayed the boys in blue. In their view, what you did is nothing less than treason. You became traitor to the Brotherhood. You were supposed to bleed the same colour as them, Stormy. And yet, you found another path. And so there's more unfriendly faces here than there are friendly ones. Nevertheless, you can actually see the chief at his perch at the corner of the bar, holding court. A lot of young detectives and officers listening to one of his tall tales. The chief has been in the game for the best part of 35 years. He should have retired by now. 25 and out, that's what they say. But when you're so knee-deep in corruption, it's not easy to feel sorry for the man, but there's no way he can extricate himself from that. He is there until the day he dies. All he can really hope for is, well, that his workload gets lighter and lighter, so all he really has to do is sit in a bar all day, every day, and not worry about the administering of a police department. As you approach, Stormy, a lot of those young officers scatter. It's like a predator walking into a herd of wildebeests. O'Donoghue gives you a sneer. Well, well. Look who it is. Stormy night. In the past I would have called you detective, but let's be on first name terms now. How are you faring, Stormy, and what brings you to the tap shop?
Just saw Hoop. He suggested that I show up and see how everyone was doing.
He's a talkative bastard, Hoop. I think you should get the impression already, Stormy, that you're probably not welcome here. But you probably knew that before you came in, didn't you? You've always had a big old pair of balls on you, haven't you, Stormy? You'll always swim in the opposite direction of the tide.
Well, it's better than having the balls deep in you.
He winces at that.
So internally she's thinking, or I'm thinking, their blank expressions told me my charm offensive wasn't working. It's my quip.
I know what everyone says about my relationship with the balls.
I think I'd know it fairly well.
It's no secret that I'm friendly with them. Johnny and Cyril were like brothers to me for a long time. It's true. But there was good reason for that. Why don't you pull up a stool and get a drink, and maybe I'll tell you.
I pull up a stool and I take a seat.
What are you drinking, Stormy? That'd be my treat.
Scotch neat. You know, I'm cutting back.
Well, I'm not one for drinking Protestant whiskey, but I will join you on this occasion. Did you know, Stormy, I was in a car crash 10 years ago? Dreadful thing. Wrapped my motor around a hydrant. Driving too fast, that's the problem. Maybe I'd been in here for a bit too long that day. Regardless.
20 miles an hour, that's just too fast for anyone to drive.
You're gonna let me tell my story?
Oh, yes, please continue.
Well, it looked like the end of me anyway, and I doubt many people would have mourned if it was. No, I was done for, all right. I woke up to see the flames roaring from under the hood of the car. The metal was so twisted around that I couldn't pull myself out. Couldn't climb out, couldn't wriggle out, couldn't squeeze out. I was stuck. There were people standing around. They were standing in the road, they were standing on the sidewalk, they was watching. They would have been quite happy, I think, to watch me burn. None of them had the bravery to step right up and give me a tug when I needed it the most. But then my saviours came along. I was pulled out by the balls, and that kind of experience changes a man.
I imagine such a thing would.
He starts crying into his whiskey. You can't repay a debt like that, Stormy.
She'll reach out and she'll gently pat his shoulder and his back, trying to comfort him while uncomfortably drinking her scotch.
I will never get that experience out of my head. Johnny on one side, Cyril on the other, pulling with all their strength until I was yanked free. And eventually, after they finished, after they tugged me out, how could I not be indebted? How could I not be their friend? How could I not do them favours? Look, Hoop's already told me that you're investigating this tight shoes thing. I'm going to ask you to stop.
His brother is a mess, Nigel, and he just doesn't want their mom sick, and she just can't take the news that her one of her boys is going to get the chair. Can't. Does he have to be the one that's fingered for this? Isn't there some other mook that could probably take the fall for it? Why poor Leo?
His face tightens. Because the boy did it, Stormy. Haven't you already heard all the statements that had him on the scene with the weapon?
The only thing...
I mean, it's a classic crime of passion. He found Joey Tight Shoes in there pumping his missus. He pulls a gun, puts two into him.
Sounds like the only heat he was packing was in his pants.
Well, I don't know where he was keeping his gun, but the point is that he had it in his hand when witnesses found him.
Well, what other witnesses? Maybe I could talk to them. Maybe that'll set me straight.
I'm telling you to drop it, Stormy. If you don't, I can't look after you. You may not think that my care extends a long way, but you'll notice when it's gone.
Nigel, I know that the balls are important to you, and you feel crushed between them, but I'm trying to help Mrs. Ball deal with this. This is really hurting her and her business. And wouldn't you want Johnny's wife well seen to?
Oh, they were a twisted pair of balls. Johnny and Charity. I never saw it myself, whether there was any affection there. But I was always closer to Johnny than I was to Cyril. I do feel for Johnny's widow, I do.
It's a damn shame what happened. It's just... She was just all torn up about it.
How does a man end up like that down round the U-bend?
Just...
It doesn't matter. I mean, that's a job for forensics, not people like me. Listen, I get what you're saying, Stormy. I do. And I do care. And I care for you, even if you don't see it. But this is my final warning. He stands, he slams his drink down his throat, and then slams the glass on the countertop. Drop it, or someone might drop you. There is a roll of thunder outside. You can see a lot of the police officers are paying attention to you now. And more have entered. This place is looking decidedly hostile, Stormy Night. The chief folds his arms. So you following this, or you dropping it?
I'm gonna sleep on it and see where when the clouds part.
Oh, the clouds never part over a city like this, Stormy Night. You best run on now, before one of these drunken coppers gets an idea in his head.
Send Jackie my love.
Oh yes, I will. I'll tell her you wish her well. And same to your dad.
Alright. Later, Nigel.
Meanwhile, checking out Little Italy, Charity. You haven't had much course for business dealings with the Italians, of course. You married into the Irish mob in this city, who for some reason have maintained a vaguely Irish accent despite it being in America, but nevertheless, these things can be affected. You do still know who the consigliere of the Portillo family is. This guy more or less runs the family while Michael Portillo is behind bars, serving the government, as it were, threatening good young men like Leo McGlick. The consigliere is sometimes known as the crossbreed. It's an unfair name. It's because, according to rumour, he has some Irish blood in him. And to the extent that his mother named him Stuart, not an Italian name at all. But Stuart Farquhar is nonetheless the consigliere of the Portillo family, because he's damn good at it. As far as administrators go, he's up there. As far as chamberlains run, he is the most effective on this coast. But most importantly, because he's no one's friend, he is seen as an impartial mediator. He's a Tom Hagen, if you want to use your Godfather references. He's a little out of sorts with the typical Italian makeup of the place. And so you can stop by his restaurant, Don Giovanni's.
I sort of try and make an entrance. I'm probably dressed a little bit too well. I am in evening wear, and it is evening, but I'm sort of in sequins and something very tight-fitting. I've got the big shoulder pads, which are very important to this era, and a slit that goes just a little high, and I'm swaying my hips as I make my way in, and Benny comes after me, being Benny.
Yeah, how does Benny look, Chris?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because Benny has switched his normal tie for a bow tie. We do want to look classy, and with all of his considerable strength, he's puffed out his chest to make himself look tough. So yeah, he walks in like not quite like he owns the place, maybe like he's like seen it from the outside or something like that.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't have dined in Don Giovanni's before, Benny. You would have passed by many times and looked inside, and it looks like a place where well-to-do, influential people go. People you'd love to rub shoulders with, but certainly far too intimidating to enter unless you're on the heels of Charity Ball.
And what a pair of heels they are. Yes, I will follow her like the little lost puppy dog he is.
I speak to the man at the front and say, I don't have a reservation, but I am looking for dinner and fuckwad.
The concierge, or table captain, says, allow me to show you and the sweaty gentleman to a table.
I take out a hanky, wipe my forehead. I didn't realise it was perspiring so much.
You might find it strange that they've imported a well-spoken British butler type to act as the master of ceremonies in this restaurant, but Mr. Farquhar takes his dining very seriously.
I like a man who takes his business seriously.
He pulls out the seat for Charity to sit down. He takes Benny's coat.
That's my coat, please. Oh, no, you were being polite, sorry. I get it now.
He then sees how lacquered with sweat your shirt is. Would Sir prefer to keep his coat on?
Oh, no, I'm quite comfortable, thank you very much. This place is lovely.
He looks at the varnish on the chairs with some reluctance, and then takes your coat and walks away. You are brought menus shortly thereafter. It is a fine place, fine dining, and far more expensive than the majority of people in this city could afford. But Charity, luckily your husband, dearly departed as he is, left you with a nice sum.
So Miss Bull, do you think these breadsticks are free?
I doubt it.
Okay, I'll put this one back.
Well, just get the set menu and fill yourself up. You look a little skinny.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, okay. What's this? Spaghetti.
A man with olive skin, but dark hair with a tinge of red to it, dressed in an expensive suit, almost as expensive as your dress, no doubt, Charity, walks over to you. He has goons at his side, and several of the diners watch as he approaches. I understand you're here at my restaurant to ask me a question.
I'm here for dinner. And I look him up and down, as if I like what I see, and say, would you care to join me? I hear it's very good.
I know everything on my menu, but I don't know you. Although, one of my boys, and he points to a large gentleman sat in the window, said your Charity Ball.
That would be correct.
So I gotta ask, what's an Irisher like you doing in a place like this, if it ain't too forward?
Not at all. I had some trouble at my establishment.
So I heard. Very tragic. Joey came to a sticky end.
So many do, but usually not in my establishment. At least
well, not
like
that kind. It seems you and I were on the same wavelength. Who's the little jamoke opposite you?
Oh, he thinks his brother took a fall.
Ah, you're the McGlick.
Oh, yeah. Hi there, Mr. Farquhar. I'm Benny McGlick. My
Farquhar is fine. You don't need to emphasize.
Oh, sorry. Jeez. Hopefully I didn't get on the wrong side. And look, my.
He points at Benny. Get this guy. What are you? Entertainer of some kind?
Do I amuse you?
Well, you seem to me like some kind of, I don't know, funny man, comedian.
I'm funny. I make you laugh.
Yeah, get up, do some juggling or something.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, get this kid some bread. Get this kid some bread rolls.
Just watch. I can't fail all the time. It's a quip.
Now's the time to use all those extra dice.
I'm gonna need them.
Athletics and dexterity, please, to juggle some bread rolls.
Okay, well, good thing I have those 3 quip dice set up, because that gives me a grand total of 4.
And don't forget those cinematics.
Yeah, I think that's... I don't know how or why any of you ever doubted poor Benny, actually, because somebody's just rolled 3 successes.
Yeah, you impress them. Tell us how you juggle. What's your trick?
I think with a lot of things that Benny does, it's all about keeping everybody talking. It's a little bit of the art of misdirection. So I'm going to be rambling on the entire time, keeping eye contact with these people, because it's the only way I can keep the fear down. But yeah, I will juggle with the bread rolls, and I think, I got 3 successes, so I'll finish with a flourish. I'll do a little spin and catch the 3 bread rolls, one of them in my mouth, because it means I can take a bite, and I'm hungry.
You get an applause. You get an applause from the folks in the restaurant, even from Farquhar. You're a funny little monkey.
Yeah, thanks.
Maybe a change of career is in order.
Oh no, jeez, I'm a born salesman. It's my calling.
You can see how this guy's brother, if it runs in the family, he's a funny little man, and maybe he might be a little bit of a pushover, if you see what I mean. And I am worried that somebody took out a customer of mine, somebody who has ties to the Italians. But I don't think you killed him. I just get that feeling.
He snaps his fingers at that and points to some of the diners and says, "You're going to have to eat outside. Sorry about the weather." And some of his heavies escort the patrons outside until you're confident the only people in here who need to be are his men and women, along with you and Benny. I gotta say, it's very rich. It's very rich that you come here to my territory. I should say the territory of Mr. Portillo, with these accusations.
I am very pointedly not accusing you of anything.
No, none accusations against us, but against someone. I agree with you, Mrs. Ball. Clearly someone killed Joey, and I very much doubt it's this mook's brother. A little too easy, if you ask me. Do you believe in Occam's razor, Miss Ball?
I think I sold one of those once. I might have some stock left over. I could go and check.
Hey, you shut your mouth.
Yeah, sorry.
If you got something to say, juggle while you do it.
Yes, sir.
He looks you up and down like you are dirt. Although he is still appreciative of the juggling act, you did perform a lot better than he thought.
I'm a bit curious as to this guy's genuine intentions here, because Benny, I think, probably trusts him, because that's Benny. I am not Benny, so I would actually quite like to invoke a cinematic at this point. It's only 1 rewrite.
Okay, well, you've definitely got 1 rewrite spent.
we have. So this is Dutch Angle. Essentially, this It's the camera angle, everything shifts just that 45 degrees, but it gives us a clue to people's mental states. She reveals any sort of discombobulation, anger, untrustworthiness on people. Doesn't tell us what those particular emotions are, but it does give us a hint as to whether they might be messing with us.
So the general impression you're getting through your Dutch angle is with a ding, the camera takes a corner of the restaurant so that you can see the goings-on of Farquhar and his droogs. A slightly jaunty angle. Yeah, there is aggression there, no doubt about it. There's suspicion there, of course. You didn't need any help with that. But more than anything, he feels like he's being played by Charity. He is thinking that this is part of some con, and he's trying to essentially play that game until he's the one in control.
So he wants to come out on top of Charity.
Very much so.
I'm sure he does. So I would like to invoke honeyed words.
Oh, yes.
Once per session, I can convince a minor character to do exactly what I want, as long as it isn't obviously dangerous or they're not actively trying to hurt me.
I like it. Go for it. So, what are you going to say to Farquhar?
How about we have a seat, have some drinks, have a nice conversation. I'll get a little information. Maybe we'll get to know each other a little bit. And see how the evening unfolds.
You heard the lady, boys. You can make a distance. Grab me a chair.
I'll get my bread rolls. I'll join them outside. Rain's not too heavy.
No. You can watch.
Benny is not sure what to say, but he's paralyzed in fear.
No, not like that, little monkey. It's just that this concerns you, clearly, because your brother's involved, and when it comes to matters of blood, people like me, we take that seriously.
Jeez, you're a good guy, Mr. Farquhar. I mean that.
But I would like to get to know you a little better, Charity. You see, when you came here... Wine. Thank you. When you came here, I was thinking you was gonna be pulling some kind of, I don't know, bust on me?
Maybe it's the other way around. And she kind of bites her lip at him.
He pouts a little, in a provocative way rather than a unhappy way.
No, I'm being pretty open-handed with you about what I want, I think.
Well, I like that, but let me cut to the chase.
Sure.
Joey's death was a tragedy. He was a good kid. Had management material written all over him. So it's a damn shame what happened. And the fact that this little punk's brother ain't responsible. Well, the boss inside in Statesville may think otherwise because he relies an awful lot on what the press tells him. He has limited traffic of information. But I would very much like to go to Boss Portillo, evidence in hand, and say, Michael, Don, I got the real guy for you. I got his balls in a vice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my suspicion, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, was that balls were the operative word. It was on your premises. It was an Italian who died. And I know that Cyril, your brother-in-law, is ambitious.
He sure is.
But then I think, why would he whack a kid and your establishment when you're a ball as well. So I gotta wonder, are you two balls playing together? Or do I need to separate these balls? How do you fit in my hand?
I think I'd fit very well in your hand. So, my dear brother, immediately after this tragedy, came to me with an offer of protection. See, apparently suddenly I need protection because somebody died on my property. And I'm wondering if my dear, dear brother didn't orchestrate something so I needed some protection, if you see what I mean, which I wouldn't appreciate. I'm a businesswoman. I loved his brother. I don't know him.
I could believe it. I think that Cyril, as I say, he's very ambitious, but if he were found to be responsible, this could trigger a war. A war that he might not walk away from.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because whether I look into it or not, if he gets caught out and I'm in the pocket with, the other ball, I'm fucked. Do you see what I mean? Now, I hear you have a little Irish in you, so...
I hear you... I'm not gonna go there. My mother, she had a little Irish in her.
Sounds like a woman after my own heart.
Listen, I'm not gonna start chopping off heads on the say-so and the suspicion of you, but then again, you do have those eyes. Eyes I want to swim in. Don't you see them, kid? He looks over at Benny. Look at her eyes.
Internally,
look at them.
Benny is thinking probably a couple of things. Mainly, should I finish this bread roll or keep it to distract him if things get hairy? But also a line that he was thinking with his brother about how maybe he was a two-bit loser from the wrong side of the tracks, but he had spunk to spare. This sounds like a moment for Benny to step up. Or maybe just stand up. So I stand up and slam my hand down on the table, which Benny isn't very strong, so probably it's more...
A lot of Italians suddenly draw pistols and point them at you.
Benny, cool it.
No. What's the chimpanzee got to say? He clearly wants to make a point.
I just want to say that these balls are way out of line. Coming in here and unloading all over my brother and putting him in the clink for a crime he didn't commit. I won't not rest until I have smashed these balls.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
You cool it there. I like your fire, Benny. I do. Sit down. You're making a scene. I don't want anyone to go off in their hand.
I sit down. Yes, sir.
He leans into you and to Charity. Listen. I like this talk of smashing balls. But I got a better idea. We like this ball. He gives the back of your hand, Charity, a gentle stroke. Not too familiar, but enough to say, I appreciate you. But the other ball, it's rancid. So I'm suggesting we give that ball a good squeeze. We squeeze it out. We squeeze it out of the city. Cyril, he's gone. Do business with whatever's left. One healthy ball. You could call it a charity ball.
I want to make sure we're equal. I want to make sure we're equal partners, or at least I get to keep what I'm in charge of. Money doesn't buy loyalty, but I do have something that does. And I turn my hand over and sort of stroke his palm.
It's good. Yeah.
That is a quip I used.
He closes his hand over yours. I think we can do business. But I want the gunman. I want the trigger man. The buttoner. The hitman. The assassin. The loose cannon.
I'll do my best to find him.
Or her. You know, there's something I've found dealing with charity balls and people like you. Never underestimate a woman. And maybe, if the gods are smiling, Benny, your brother will get to see light before he sees sparks.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. I'm sure we can do this. I'm sure we can save my brother. We gotta.
Well, hot-footed, time is ticking, and I can't hold off the Don for too much longer. He was very close to Joey. And if he holds your brother responsible, I cannot be held accountable for what happens to him on the inside. Michael Portillo... Well, I don't need to say what he might do to your brother in prison.
Oh, jeez, you don't need to mince words. I understand completely.
Oh, something's gonna get minced. So hot-footed then, you two. I hope you enjoyed your bread.
Yeah, I'll take this one for the road. Thank you, Mr. Farquhar. It's been a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
I think Charity stands up and she would like to have a word with Sandy Flange.
You were very lucky in that scene. I was expecting a standoff, but a good use of cinematics and quips made things turn out slightly more favourably to you. In meeting with Sandy Flange, or Flange, Stormy, are you coming back to meet with the rest of your compatriots at this time?
Yeah, she'll come back to them.
Alright, so meeting up with the gang at Sandy Flange's house, which she shares with her sister, Mary Flange.
I'll knock on the door.
Mary Flange is a pious woman, and severe with it. You only had to deal with her once before Charity, and once was enough. When she opens the door, she looks at you sternly. Ah. Charity, what's your surname now?
Ball.
Yes, rolls off the tongue.
Well, you'd be surprised.
How many times have you been married now, Ms. Ball?
3. If I'm lucky, I'll be able to go down the aisle a 4th time.
I'm sure you've been going down enough for the rest of us. My sister is not going to be speaking with you. I am removing her from your employ. What she does is illicit, and she should be grateful that I'm not reporting her to the police, or you. But for some reason she has some affection for you, maybe even some respect. I don't understand why. She dropped out of the convent to be a lady of the night. Quite a career change.
Turn the other cheek indeed.
Stormy has rocked up at this point.
I'm sure she's very grateful to you for not turning her into the police. Really, charity abounds in your heart as well as mine.
She puts her fists on her hips, like a Fleischer painting of Superman, and looks out into the street.
I am concerned your sister might be in a little bit of trouble.
Well, she won't be for long. I'll be sending her out of the city. She's already packing her bags.
Has she come into any good fortune lately?
Whatever do you mean?
A little extra money. I didn't think you people had the means to get out of the city.
While I live a penitent life, I do so on behalf of my sister who lives a life of vice. And while vice is of course a dreadful detriment to the soul, it does pay well. So yes, she is moneyed. She has enough cash to get out of the city. And then from there it is up to her to start her life anew, a blank slate, away from the depredations of this place and its people, including yourself and your 2 friends. It's raining on all 3 of you now as you stand in this woman's porch.
Now then,
I apologise that you're getting damp in my porch, but I will not let you any deeper inside my abode.
Do we have any cinematics or anything like that we could use to get in?
Well, I can tell you something we can do. I have a trope that may be useful here.
Oh, yes.
So it's called Gift of the Gab. I can sell anything and talk to anyone, especially when the pressure's on. Once per session, I can keep someone talking for a scene or convince them to buy whatever I'm selling. Although not above market value, certainly with Benny. I can keep her distracted while the 2 of you sneak in, because I have a alarmingly good range of wimples in my bag that I keep for just such an occasion.
You are the Wimple Man.
It's been said, yes. This could be just the opportunity that Benny has been looking for. I could probably make at least $3 from this.
Okay, Benny, what's your sales pitch? We know that it will succeed, I just want to hear it anyway.
Hey, so, Mary, was it,
Quite contrary, yes.
Yeah, geez, I can see.
Please do not use the Lord's name in vain while speaking with me.
That's going to be quite tricky for me, but yes, of course, I would never dream of taking the Lord's name in vain. I'm a godly man myself. He shines down on all of us.
Oh, she raises an eyebrow. What denomination?
Lutheran.
Let me guess. Oh, Lutheran, I would have guessed Seventh-day Adventist. Do continue.
Benny has to stop himself from reflectively saying, oh, geez, in front of everything. Say, that wimple that you're wearing is looking a little bit grey and frayed around the edges.
She touches it nervously, self-consciously. I spend a lot of time tending to the poor and needy. My appearance, I'm a vocational nun. I live here rather than on the convent, but sometimes times are hard. I can't always get my clothing to the laundrette. She folds her arms stiffly.
Very common in that model. You see the stitches that they were using, they actually bought them from people from the Church of England. And
what?
I know, I was as shocked as you are. We had to send a whole...
She slaps you across the face. Wicked child.
Wicked child. Benny... He's a professional. He doesn't miss a beat. He's used to being slapped around the face. He can keep going. Exactly. That's exactly what I thought, and I think your behaviour...
I would not wear an Anglican wimple.
Which is exactly why I have brought this particular range here. These were made from nothing but the finest materials, and I can promise you from the deepest pits of my heart, there is nothing Anglican in these whatsoever. They have never even been to Britain.
Really? Where were they stitched, then? I was under the impression that the vestments that my order wore were all stitched by the Mother Superior herself. She uses her own thread. But if what you are saying is true, where are yours from,
Benny probably isn't a godly man. Where is this... What denomination would this lady be?
Well, she's a Catholic, so... Lords or the Vatican tends to be...
These ones, these actually came from the Vatican. These were actually threaded right in the centre of the Vatican. There aren't that many of them. This is actually my last batch.
And you think you could mix a batch for me?
I think you should try one on. Just see how it fits. Just take it for a spin. And I want to assure you that these there's nothing silken about these. These are rough as hell. These will really.
I beg your pardon.
These will really scratch your face. You will feel so uncomfortable in these. These are absolutely perfect for the penitent woman, who has a fancy for these things.
I'll take my wimple off.
I'll avert my eyes.
No. I will need you to put your wimple upon my head. Place it gently and adjust it just to see whether it's comfortable. I'm not committing to any purchase.
Well, don't worry. These I can assure you that this will be as uncomfortable a wimple as you will ever fashion. There will never be one more uncomfortable than this. At this point, I will wink at the other two with me, Knight and Ball. I'll give them the nudge, and yes, I'll be doing my wimple adjusting.
While you're adjusting your wimple, Charity and Stormy then.
All right, we will sneak inside.
Yeah, we'll squeeze past into the passage.
You can see Sandy Flange in the lounge packing the last of her suitcases.
Sandy, my dear, I hear you're going on a trip.
Oh, I didn't think. I'm so sorry, Miss Ball. It's just too dangerous for me here. I don't want to get caught up in the middle of some war. I didn't do nothing. I just let the guy in. That's all.
I'm gonna look her up and down. Does she look like she's got new things? Does she look like she's fallen into some brand new good fortune?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just listen, I'm sorry I lied. Everyone deserves a fresh start, right? I just want to get out of the city, that's all. I've got my bags packed already. I'm just waiting for the bus, really.
You've been unhappy for a minute.
Yeah, she is clearly saying what she thinks you want her to say, but she doesn't actually know what you want her to say. So, more comes out as yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry, Miss Ball. Miss Knight. It's just... can I be frank?
You can be anyone you'd like to be.
Goodness. So, I didn't tell you the truth before. Not the whole truth, anyway. I knew Joey was coming that night. And I was told that I had to get him in my little room. Alone. And that once I did that, I wouldn't have to do anything else. I thought there was going to be some kind of deal, a drug deal or something that no one wanted anyone to see. And I guess I thought the best place that they might do it is a brothel, because no one watches each other there, unless you pay extra. And I didn't know he was going to get shot. But I know it wasn't Leo. It definitely wasn't Leo. He was fitted up. They practically measured him for the prison jumpsuit there and then.
Who told you? Who asked you to leave?
Please, is this going to get me in even more trouble?
You're leaving the city.
You're going to let me leave? She looks to Stormy at this because she's clearly not sure about Charity.
I don't care where you go, as long as it's out of the city, and as long as I get the trigger man. After that, you're not my problem, dear.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played Murder Served Hot for Onyx Path Publishing's They Came from the Mean Streets. You will find this and many other genres in the upcoming They Came from the RPG anthology that is now on Kickstarter, and you can find a link to that in the show notes. Joining Matthew was Kim Godwin, MK, and Chris Jones. The music was made by Atrium Carceri, Godbody Disconnect, and City's Last Broadcast, and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Antxon, Graham Barey, and Daniel for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember that dead men are heavier than broken hearts.